Yana. Um, let's see.
Enough for everybody.
Uh-uh. Just log in like you did last year with your
Okay.
right. Hello. If you're just logging in, just we're trying to share the video, so you can go ahead and share it also. And we're waiting for people to get together. Where is it at? Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's go ahead.
All right. Okay, Sister Lori, how are you? We're gonna get ready to start very, very shortly. Okay, so if you already logged in, just do us a favor and share the broadcast to your friends. And we're doing the same thing too. I'm trying to figure out how to do mine. Honey, you're getting really good at it.
Well,
Huh?
learning from you.
Okay. Now we're gonna stop this and we're gonna. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday and happy new month, right?
And then we bring you greetings from Missouri City
All the way.
in Texas. We are on the outskirts of Houston, Texas.
Right.
Um, we are a few steps away from Sugarland and Stafford. So we're just in the middle. But it is Sunday. It is our broadcast day. We are coming live.
Yes, indeed.
We're coming live.
Who are
We just
we?
came back from church. This is Tim Victor.
Yes.
I am Reverend Victor. She's Reverend May Victor. And you're just looking at me being formal. You're wondering why is he talking about all these formalities?
Oh no,
But a lot of people don't know us.
yeah.
So I wanted to introduce ourselves. But today we have a very important topic that we want to talk about. It is one that we've been talking about in our household.
Yes.
So I guess we should share in some of the discussions. What are we talking about today?
If you're logging in, I just want to remind them, if you're watching, just do us a favor and share this live video to your friends so they can also watch us. And if you could just say hey, so we know that you're here there, and where you're logging in from or where you're viewing from, that would be really, really great. And we will really appreciate that. And I see Sister Lori there, I see Kenya there. Thank you so much for logging in, and thank you for watching the live video. Just nudge your friends so they can watch also. And we're looking at the comment section even as we're speaking. Thank you, Karen, for logging in. Good afternoon from North Carolina.
Not Cali,
God
no,
bless
California.
you. Cali. Okay, sorry about that. God bless you, and we
From
appreciate you.
Pennsylvania, we got Lori.
Yes. So if you have any questions as we go along, from what you're hearing from us, please do not hesitate to write it on the comment section. Believe me, we're watching it. We'll pick up the questions. We'll answer the questions. We'll try to make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah.
While we're still on air.
It's our show.
Yes.
It's not just Tim Victor.
Right.
You are part of the show.
Right. You are part of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
So you're down to answer my question.
What was your question, sweetie?
What are we talking about?
Sorry. What are we talking about? We're talking about responsiveness to your spouse. One of the keys to marital success. I mean, we're talking about being responsive
to
to
the
your
needs.
spouse, to the need of your spouse. It cannot be overemphasized. I mean, I think I will even talk about it more, being a woman than my husband. But men, I think we need to get it out of the way here now that men have needs,
Hmm.
women have needs,
Hmm.
and those needs are there to be met.
Yep. That's why we have
And
a
they're there to be
relationship.
met by not necessarily you that have the need, but the other person. Otherwise, there is no need for a relationship.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Hey, Sister Madube, we love you so much, and thank you
From Nigeria.
for watching. God bless you, all the way from Nigeria.
Maybe
So,
Sister Madipo may be here. Are you in
right.
US?
Well, honey, yeah.
Anyway, let's go.
Okay, so we're talking about responsiveness, and then so we said everyone has a need.
Everyone
Honey,
has
I
a
know
need.
guys don't have needs,
Oh
right?
yeah, we do have need. We gotta eat.
Well, when you guys look so macho,
We do
like you got
have
it all
need.
together, you
No,
have needs also?
we have
I thought it's
needs.
only women that have needs. Hello?
Trust me, if we didn't have need, we wouldn't be getting married.
Yeah, well, you have need for kids.
We have need for kids, we have need for sex, we have need for intimacy, we have need for respect.
Right.
We have
Okay.
need. We have a lot of needs.
Okay.
Hmm.
So men have needs. Women, do we even start? I mean, we can't. I can't
Don't
start.
even start.
Don't even start. Don't even start. Sisters, you all do know we have needs. Hello. I mean, some of us are more needy than the others.
Yes.
Sister Modube says she's watching from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so very much. Some of us have more needs than others, but the point is, whether you have one need, or you have two, or you have three, the point remains that the purpose of the union is that our needs, if not all, but at least some of them, be met. And there's no way we can meet each other's needs unless we are responsive.
Hmm.
Is that right, honey?
And that's very true. We have
Mhm.
to be responsive to each other's need. And that responsiveness starts from the word attention.
Okay.
We have to pay attention before we even realize that there is need. And I was looking at the meaning of the word attention. It means taking note of or noticing something or somebody,
Okay.
regarding somebody. That's what it means. Prioritizing somebody. That's paying attention.
Mhm.
And I think I was in church. God forgive me when I took this note, but it came to me and I said, I gotta write this down. If I don't, I will forget it. And I didn't want to forget it. It says to pay attention is to be intellectually engaging,
Wow.
interpreting. In other words, we interpret each other's mood, each
Mhm.
other's messages,
Mhm.
is to be spiritually discerning.
Okay.
So some of our needs, we may not even communicate it.
Mm.
It has to be intellectually
Has to be
discerned.
discerned.
Uh-huh. To be socially connected.
Mm.
In other words, I am socially connected with my wife, as you all can tell. We hang out the whole
They can
lot.
tell.
Yeah, those that know us closely,
Can you all tell? Can you all really tell?
well, maybe because we're in the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are socially connected. We
Mm.
hang out a lot with each other. We argue a lot in that hanging out. Sometimes in one hanging out, we argue, we make up, we fight, we argue again. Sometimes two, three times
That's
before
the fun of it, though. That's the fun of it. It's got to be fun.
before it
See,
ends.
Florence says it's making time for each other. You're right
Making
about that
time for
too.
each other. And
Mm-hmm.
then finally, it's being emotionally empathetic.
Empathetic.
You have
Mm.
to be emotionally empathetic. You have to be connected socially,
Mm.
emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. Those levels has to be
Has
covered.
to be covered.
Hmm. But paying attention is the key. Sometimes we may be present
But we're
and
not
not
there.
have presence.
Yeah, but we're not there.
You understand what I'm saying? We may be, especially in these days of social media,
Right.
in the days of cell phone, text messages, television, And our mind, there are a lot of things
A lot of distractions.
competing for our attention. So we may be present with our spouse, but we are not present. We may be present, but our presence is not
It's
being
not
felt.
felt. So in other words, what we're saying here, if you're viewing, if you're listening or watching us, is your spouse needs your attention.
Yes.
I mean, that is number one thing. That is key. Your spouse needs your attention. There is a place, for social media. There's a place for surfing the web. There's a place for going out and doing your own thing. But for you to be engaged in marriage and do marriage right, you would need to be sensitive to the need of your spouse, and one of it is being responsive to that need. And then my husband, like you rightly said, you need to be there. There are many of us that are just bodily. I mean, it's your body that is there.
Oh, yeah.
Your spirit,
It's not there.
the thing that makes you is gone. So all your spouse is dealing with is a box.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he's dealing with a box. And that's not
And
fair.
sorry to say, there's a lot of guys doing that. We
Right.
tune off.
Tune off.
We tune off. We're just physically there, but our mind is somewhere. Our mind is in sports. Our mind is in business. Our mind is in those that have girlfriends somewhere else. We're not just there. We're there because we have to be. But technically, we're not there. And these days of cell phone and social media, you're even there, you're chatting with someone else.
Exactly.
So that's not present.
It's not being present. So there has to be an us time. I mean, we're not saying marriage should just rule you or make you useless. That's not what the point we're saying. It's not what we're saying.
No.
You have to still be you. But when we're doing life, let's do life together.
Together.
When you need me, I can't be responsive to you if I'm not present with you. You know what I mean?
You have to be connected.
I have to be connected to you to even realize that you have a need. Somebody give us some, weird. Some people might be going through things in the line of fire. They're married and their spouse has no clue. When my face changes, and if you know me, Sister M, you know what I'm saying, Sister Lori. When my face changes, my husband has to know something is wrong somewhere.
And if I don't,
and even if I don't say it. Now, my husband is kind of hard to tell because you all know the man has a policeman face. You hear me? The man has a policeman face. now he's smiling. He's just being nice and he's smiling. But he's not always, what I mean is his face.
I don't wear my emotions
He
on my
doesn't
face.
wear his emotions on his face. But even at that, I'm still able to kind of sense. I may not put my arm on it, but you can sense that something the equilibrium has shifted. Something is not right. The reason why we're sounding this note is if you're not responsive to your spouse, somebody else is.
And that brings me, I might want to share this story.
Okay.
But we didn't talk about it, but that's true. A few years ago, my wife kept talking about, you need to wait on me. You need to watch out for me. You need to, I'm wearing a heel. Those of us that don't know us, my wife wears 6 inches, sometimes 10.
Yeah, inches above the ground. So when I stand right there,
so she kept saying that. I was like, what? Wait on you? Yeah. Are you now the Queen of England?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying in my heart. Until one day we went for a mission with a brother. And while we were at the airport, the brother is an American that went with us.
I remember the story.
When we were at the airport,
y'all listen to
I
this
was
story.
more concerned about figuring our way out and security measures, making sure we're okay. I ignored my wife behind, and this brother was waiting on my wife.
He waited on me. He really did.
Yeah, and Sister May, can I get your bag?
Yes.
Sister May, are you okay? Sister May, what can I do
He
for you?
opened the door for me. He watched me almost like an egg.
And you enjoyed it.
I was enjoying every bit of it. Come on now, what are you saying, honey? I was enjoying it because the guy was waiting on me, and I told my husband, I said, this is true story. You know, we tell you that we come live with our story. We are real. We're real. We're a real couple. We're not trying to make things up. We're not trying to make things look like what they're not.
No,
This
we have
is
nothing
real.
to hide.
There's nothing to hide. We're vulnerable. We're make mistakes. We're normal.
Perfect.
And that's why we can relate to you where you're coming from. So this guy was literally waiting on me like I would want my husband to wait on me. And he was not.
I was telling the story.
Yeah. He wasn't even hiding it. I mean, like, he wasn't hiding it. My husband was there. But this man, my sweetheart, was so worried about
security, our luggages,
things.
I was minding the things of the world.
He was just being the matter,
And finally, the guy got my wife's handbag. And then my wife said, honey, I'm not comfortable this guy carrying my bag.
Exactly.
You better help me.
That was a boundary. That was a boundary that I wasn't feeling it no more. It's like, no, this is whoa. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we need to be, the message there is that we need to be responsive.
Yes.
And it starts with paying attention. And paying attention is being present. Being present either by communication, finding out. And you were asking me earlier on, you were saying, whose responsibility is it to find out about the other person's need?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whose responsibility? Yeah, that was my question. I mean, I guess the first question I asked, because we have to talk about these topics before we present them to you guys, because, I mean, questions could come from you or something like that. I was asking,
Hi, Anita.
Hey, Anita, how are you? And I was just asking my husband, I said, should a spouse be required to read the other spouse's mind, to know what is going on, to know what their needs are? So we arrived at a conclusion that every human being has a basic need.
Yes.
Even your children have needs. Your co-worker, like where you work, there is a need that you're there to fulfill. Otherwise, nobody will hire you for the job.
Yes.
So we came to conclusion that you as a man, you have your basic need. Me as a woman, I have my basic need. You ought to understand that I have this basic need. We have a need to have a roof over our head. We have a need to have a leader in the house. We have a need to have food on the table. We have a need to be loved.
To be respected.
We have a need to be respected. Those are basic needs that we need to satisfy, and we need to have that in mind going into marriage, because marriage is hard work. But then, for each and every one of us, there are some specific needs that we have. There is something that that's a need to me may not be a need to Sister Lori that that is watching. It may not be a need to Anita that is watching, but it's a need to me. So when it comes to the point of, like I was telling my husband about my high heels and him waiting on me, for some people who don't wear high heels, it may not be a big deal. But I feel the high heels were made for me, people like us that are kind of like petite. Not people like Anita. No, she doesn't need that. She needs flats. So, but when I jump on them, sometimes you kind of feel like, hey, woo, I'm probably about to fall. Somebody better catch me. But anyway, on a lighter mood. So then we said, you also have a responsibility
to communicate,
of making your needs known.
That communicate your need to your spouse. And we do that by several ways. It's just a question of decoding them. Some of us give out body languages. Let me tell you what my wife does. She gives out body language. If it's not communicated, then she speaks. And I think that's what should be done. I tend to give out more body language than I'm verbal. But I think being verbal is more important. We need to communicate because for me, if I'm in a zone, I'm thinking of something is preoccupying me, I may not catch your body language. In that case, if it's not getting it and you need that need to be met, you need to open your mouth and say, this is what I need.
Yeah, so we don't expect your spouse to be a mind reader, because when you do that, that tends to have first of all, your spouse might miss the cue.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop at the cue level, at a point where you're only giving the cues, how many of us know, if you're watching here and you've been married for 5 years, you know that your husband will not catch cues. Men don't catch cues. So ladies, I know we have a lot of needs and we're expecting him, but you should know that this is my need. Yes, he should know, but if he doesn't catch the cue, be gracious enough to communicate and say, you know what? If you do this to me, it'll make me feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you even don't do this, I'll be more comfortable if you don't do this to me. So, in other words, let's try and communicate our needs to each other so there will be an understanding.
Yes, relationship is about relating.
Right.
And we relate with whoever makes us comfortable, whoever whoever meets our need. If you're the one who likes to talk, you generally relate with people who listen. If you're the one who wants to be paid attention to be admired, to be commended, you flow towards, even when you don't want to. If you work with a guy at your workplace and every day you dress up, he gives you a lot of commendation. Oh, you look good, that's clothes. Unconsciously, you find out that some days when he's not there, you will miss him, or when she's not there, you will miss that compliment.
Right.
So we flow towards the person that makes us comfortable, and that's what we need to do with our spouse. We need to make our spouse comfortable, and the way you do that is by meeting their need.
Each other's need. And let me tell you something, if you don't go on meeting your spouse's need, what will happen is that you will indirectly create a barrier between the both of you.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you guys are isolated. And that's how people, when you allow this to continue on that trajectory, you find out that people get to a point where there is nothing holding the relationship. Human beings are saddled with needs. It is God's making, it's not us. Relationship, marriage is there to meet those needs, whether it's the need of intimacy, whether it's the emotional need, spiritual need, whatever need that you have. Part of it is that you and your spouse complement each other to meet these needs. When you get to a point where you begin to be carefree, casual, I don't care about your spouse's need, guess what you're doing? You're making yourself technically a stranger in that relationship.
Yes, you're making yourself. And that's why God did not give you someone who is exactly like you. God promised in Genesis 2:18, he says, I will make Adam a helper suitable. In other words, suitable means they can match. What Adam doesn't have, Eve has it. And it so happens that in every husband and wife, they are opposites in many directions. They may have common interests, but their approach to those interests are different. And that's because what the husband doesn't have, the wife brings it, and they become one. And it helps them to form a strong bond
Yes.
and a strong team.
Right.
So, guys, ladies, let us try and be responsive to each other's need.
Okay. And then Nita has a question. She asked, she said, how do I communicate effectively without coming across upset after so many cues? Because after you've given so many cues now, it's like, can you not get it? Hey, they try you. It's like, can you not just get it? I mean, this is just what I'm saying. Can you? I mean, what is our? So the thing is, how do you nicely communicate this need? I've given you several cues, sweetheart, and you're still not getting it. What
Yeah,
would be my best
yeah,
way to communicate to
yeah,
you
yeah,
without me,
yeah.
without him looking like I'm nagging or something,
You're talking to one that can read cues.
Right.
But I tell you what. I know it's very frustrating. You're trying to say something, that person is not getting it. And you really don't want to make it commonize it by saying, I need you to rub my back, or I need you to buy me ice cream, or I need you to pay me attention. It then makes it cheap. But you gotta calm down and find out the best way to communicate, and each spouse is different. For me, don't say, in fact, if you say it with frustration, we've
It
lost
makes
that.
it worse.
We've lost that moment.
I knew that. I had to
Yeah.
learn that. I learned that the hard way,
And for a
guys.
lot of guys,
Yes.
find out, maybe let it pass at that time. Next time, wait for a few minutes, come back and say, honey, I was trying to tell you to buy me ice cream. I was trying to tell you that I really need your attention. That's what I was trying to say, but you didn't get it. I need for you to pay attention to me. Let your emotions, the problem we have with communication is that when we are frustrated, we communicate our emotions as opposed to our facts. The things that are really bothering us, we don't say it. We raise our voice, we roll our eyes, we speak our mind through our body language, even though we're saying, I really need you to pay me attention. Our body is saying, oh, you can't, how come you can't read emotions? You can't read body language.
And so we make it worse. We make it worse than it is. Wow.
And the man reads the body language, not what you're saying.
Yeah.
So we need to calm down. Make sure you have overcome your frustration, your anger, and that you're calm so that you can really say what you need to say.
Right. Because you gotta process. You at a point you have to like take a deep breath and step back and process the events.
Yeah.
Allow it. What I do sometimes, I just let it play out, play itself out in my head, and I try to give my husband, the benefit of doubt. Well, he didn't mean it. Well, if I had, this and that, and that kind of helps me to kind of calm down and take a deep breath, and if possible, just let it go for that day. I mean, we don't have to talk about it that day unless it's a matter of life and death situation. But if it's not a matter of life and death, let's just sleep over it. Then come back tomorrow when we're more rational after we've processed it some more. It could just be over coffee or breakfast or something, and then we can just reference what happened the day before. And I hope this was helpful. And we have another question from Lisanne. She says, "What happens when your husband, after an argument, isolates himself and acts like a child?"
Oh.
He's upset. I mean, he's mad.
Upset. That's his response to or reaction to. That's his coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Give him some space. Most people that act like that eventually come out of it. Maybe it's not the time to. If he needs massaging his ego, that's your husband. It may not make sense, but massage his ego. It's not gonna do. Pastor always says it's not written on your face.
On your forehead.
So massage his ego a little bit. My wife does that. She starts calling me names, Captain, General, my honey, my dear. She knows she made me mad. But she's trying.
But it's working. It works.
It works. It does work.
Ah!
It does work.
I tell you,
she massages my ego a little bit.
Yes.
I'm still mad, but I really cannot react to that.
But I want to let you know, I really mean those, though. I really mean those. Yeah, I really, truly, you know what? You got me on that one, but I really mean those.
Yes. So,
because we have to reconnect.
Sometimes we need to massage his ego. Meet him where he is. That's also part of what we are talking about. Being responsive to your spouse's need. If he's acting like a child, he wants to be treated like a child at that time. Massage his ego. Act like you're the one who is at fault.
You're the mom.
That's meeting his need. That's meeting his need. It may not make sense, but it does make sense to him.
But please, by all means, don't, ladies, please, you might be very, very upset, but don't go on saying, why are you always acting like a child whenever we have an argument? Oh my gosh, you know what? I know we feel that way sometimes. We really do. Believe me, I feel what you feel. But there
You feel
is
like I'm
no,
acting
no,
like a kid.
sweetheart, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about it.
I'm
But
trying to get it
I'm
straight.
just saying that at all times, if couples will go for peace
Mhm.
when there is argument, conflict, or anything, and we'll talk about we'll have another episode to talk about conflicts and how to resolve them. But if we will pursue peace, that's what the Bible said. Pursue means you run after it.
Make effort.
You know, if my husband runs after peace when we have, an argument or misunderstanding, and I'm running after peace, I tell you, both of us will be able to handle the situation much better. So, in other words, if you know and realize that this is going to make this thing worse, let's not let's not hit it at that time. Let's not hit it at that time just for the sake of peace.
Let it
Let's
go.
just allow peace to reign at all times. Sometimes somebody has to be, might just be the, I hate to say the foolish one, but you just want, you might have to swallow your
That's what it is.
ego,
Someone is
you
always the
know.
foolish one for there to be peace. I say it, and this is not the topic we are discussing today. There is no 50-50 win-win situation in marriage. Somebody wins sometime and somebody loses. That's just the way it is. So if you're expecting 50-50, it's only in divorce court that the judge shares your property and your children and custody and child support 50-50. But at home, somebody has to make sacrifice for the sake of peace.
Right.
That's how you move forward. I think we've done about 31 minutes. We don't want to really
We don't
stretch
want
it
to make it
beyond
too
this. But
long.
remember what we said, pay attention to each other. That's where it
Yes.
starts from. Pay attention.
Before we sign off, honey, ladies, I'm a lady, so I can say this. If my husband says it now, it'll be like, oh, I'm a lady, I can say this. One of the needs of men that we're not meeting, and every man says it, most men, not every man, most men, is the need for intimacy.
Mm.
We gotta, we have to realize. I mean, and in some families also, it's the woman that needs the intimacy,
Mhm.
and the husband is not there. So in some homes, it's the, oh, somebody said, do not go there. Someone said, don't even go there. But that's a chunk of need that a man has.
So another
And let
day.
me tell you something, this matter is for another day, I promise you. But since we're talking about being responsive, if this video,
Karen,
this
it's
last
never too
video,
late.
it's not too late. If
Never.
what it will do is to sensitize you and myself to go back and begin to be more aware and more attentive to our spouses, we would have just done a good job. Just being more sensitive to his feelings or to her feelings, being more sensitive about your environment, where you are, what is going on
His
around
face, what's
you,
going on with
you
him,
know,
with her, at
look
work,
at each other's
at
face.
church, her
Yeah.
body, his body,
Hmm.
her family, your
Right.
family, her friends, your family. All these things are things we need to pay
Right.
attention to because it makes who we are. If we're
Yes.
not happy at work, we bring it back home.
Hmm.
If our families, our mom and dad are not doing well, or our siblings are not doing well, we carry it to our family. So we need to be sensitive to those things. Besides, it makes for a better relationship with your spouse.
Right. It
If
does.
that's all you get from it, when she's happy, I am happy.
Mm.
And when I'm happy, she's happy.
That's true.
So that's the key to it for your own good.
Yes.
So we need to be responsive, and I think we are done.
Yes. Yes.
We are
And I know a
done.
lot of people say, go there, go there. We
Next
promise
time we'll
you
talk about
we
it.
will go there. We will go there. We have no problem discussing
Florence
that. We
says,
will
be
go
your
there.
spouse's best friend.
Yes,
Definitely.
be your spouse's best friend.
Hmm.
Love on each other. Wake up tomorrow morning and ask your spouse, what can I do to
Today.
make your day Beautiful. I know some people will ask their spouse will even
Faint.
like about to pass out. Like,
What's
is
wrong with
this
you?
my wife? Is this my husband? Are
What's
you
wrong with
okay?
you?
Are you running a fever or something? But you know what? There is always a starting point, and let that be our starting point. Monday morning or tonight, call your spouse if they're not home. Text them or whatever. Say, honey, what can I do to make your life a lot better than what it is now? It could be a start. And I tell you, they will truly
Or if she's
appreciate
not
it.
there, you can also call and say, I really miss you
Yeah.
when you're not here.
Yeah.
That makes the person feel relevant,
Right.
feel wanted,
Right.
feel needed.
Mm.
And that massages our ego and makes a woman feel good.
Now, when we're talking about responsiveness, please don't go shopping in the mall and then running the bills high and then saying that your spouse is not responsive to you. No, no, we have to be responsible in this arena of being responsive. So your spouse cannot give to you what they don't have. You know what I mean? So let's just
Thank you,
let's just
Cheryl.
do this and love on each other and connect. Remember what we say, we're together forever. Two joined together can make it forever. Thank you so very
God
much
bless you.
from me. It's good. Now, next week, Sunday, we'll do the same thing, same time, same station. We will see you. God bless you. We
And if
love
there's
you.
a topic you want us to talk about,
Please
you
let us
email
know.
us, send us inbox,
Yes.
and we'll
We'll
take
talk
a crack
about
at it.
it.
God
Okay?
bless you.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
And have a wonderful week. Bye.